Okay, and we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. My name is Clara
Yes.
Lyons-DeVaughn. I am the broker owner of Lyonsview Realty. We provide residential, commercial for small businesses, and nonprofits and property management services. Want to welcome you all here today who are tuning in. If you didn't know, Lyonsview Realty is committed, our Financial Fridays is committed to ensuring you have the resources, the information, and the tips to assist you in making the best financial decisions. Financial Fridays provides content to help you maximize your wealth building power now and in the future. And some people think that wealth is just a money thing. Wealth is also an intellectual thing. So we've been doing a series of interviews with different authors because we want you to maximize your brain power, your intellectual wealth. We want people to read more books. You can go to, or you can find us live on YouTube and Facebook. Fridays, we're here 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Feel free to share, like, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And you can catch the replay on YouTube any time. But I really am excited about our guest today, who is an author who is going to challenge your intellectual wealth. Um, I want you to go out and buy her book. And if you don't get it for yourself, I want you to get it as a gift for someone else. You know, we have a lot of holidays that are coming up, and I think this book is a great book for those of you who are listening today. But let me tell you a little bit about our guest today. Her name is Melonie Renee Jones. She is a singer, an author, a licensed evangelist, and a life coach. She's passionate about helping individuals discover their innate gifts, and she currently serves as the CEO of Pretty on Purpose Consulting. And they offer guidance to startups in content creation, marketing, and promotions. She also co owns Artistic Resilience, which is a nonprofit she founded with her daughter, Monet Jones. And together they've authored and self published a Black anime book series, Unit 3, Born Without Limits. So she has a few books that she has published, and I'm really excited to welcome Miss Melonie Renee Jones. Hello, Melonie.
Hello, Clara. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
You are so welcome. So I want to start, if you could just, you've done a lot. So I want you to share a little bit about yourself and how you went from all of those things to becoming an author. Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my story, which is what part of my book is about. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. And I lived a life of fear, from youth, growing up, in fear. And I don't, want to go too much into that, but growing up, sometimes in our families, we're dealing with abuse and a lot of, especially when our parents argue and the fighting, the abuse, a lot it affects our children. So I want to be, a light to tell our youth today and our young, and not even just the youth, but our young adults, that what you're doing now when your children, and my mom used to tell me the same thing, it affects your children as they get older. We think it doesn't, but it does. We sow seeds, we're sowing those seeds into their life, and they become fruit as they get older. So as me growing up, I didn't, we have a lot of wealth of knowledge and information that teaches us today that those results have affected our lives. So we have more knowledge today than we did back then. So it's so important for us to share and be an example, because most kids, they want to see examples, not just hear us tell them what to do. They are watching more than listening most of the time. But I grew up, well, what started me to become an author, when I was 21, I married a pastor. And I told I had plans. I told my mom when I turned 21, I was never going to church again. I didn't want to go to church again because we grew up in church, and most of us have, grew up with going to church with our parents, and no matter what we did, you're going to church. That was just my mom, and she loved it. She loved ministry. She loved to serve. And so when I got old, I was just, I told her when I get 21, because I was still at home. I didn't go to college or anything. I went to technical school, but I didn't go to college. But I was still with my mom, and I told her I was not going to church again. She couldn't make it. It was like, look, I'm 21. You can't make me go to church again. So lo and behold, God had other plans, because I ended up marrying a pastor at the age of 21. And yes, and my daughter's father, and he was also a business owner. He owned a swimming pool renovation company. We lived in Florida. I'm in Georgia now. So we did business together. We did ministry together, but I wanted to be behind the scenes. I didn't want to be up front. So, but then he taught me what it was like to have a relationship with God versus religion. So what I was not wanting to do was that religion. So once I found relationship with God, it was a difference. It was a difference. So I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. All right. Because I didn't.
Yes.
Okay. But so that made a whole difference. And he was a teacher. He was a teacher, and we put syllabus together. When he taught his messages, he had a PowerPoint presentation versus other pastors and preachers that were, his colleagues and stuff. They, were preaching the word, So I remember one time we went to Mississippi and they told him, they said, Bishop, you're going to have to make these people dance and holler. You're going to have to holler. He's like, no, I got to do what God told me to do. And lo and behold, they bought out his books. They wanted to learn more. They kept him there, because he was teaching them how to live life, using the Bible as a practical way of living. Like, it's not a religious book. It's how we can live and live a life of purpose. And also how it was a manual for successful living. So I learned a lot from him. Good, even though our relationship, good and bad, we went through some other things. That's another book. But I took the good from it, because you can choose to be bitter or better, but I chose to be better. And he passed in 2021. He transitioned, and we did get a chance to speak because he was married again. And we did get a chance to speak, and we both apologized to each other. We forgave each other. And he told me, go share your story, because he knew my story. And he knew I had finally decided to step out in faith and share the message that, about God, and just about living in faith and having the fruit of the Spirit. Because a lot of times we think we're doing life alone, but when we have the Holy Spirit, it helps us to have patience. It helps us to, with the peace and the happiness, and all that stuff comes from, we don't create that. It comes from the Spirit. So if we allow that in our life, we can have the peace, the patience. And even a lot of people don't know long suffering is a fruit of the Spirit. Now, I'm not going to preach.
Yes.
I will.
Yes,
listen, I'm just excited about the word. I'm just excited about the word of God, because it can, if you allow it to, it can help you. It can help you just even step day to day. I just seen how it helped me, because I would have said no to this. I would have said no to, because I always just wanted to be behind the scenes. And now when I go live and people that know me, they be like, oh, you just like being out front. I'm like, no, but that's where my, if I'm going to be a speaker, if I'm going to help people, that's, where I'm gonna have to step out. And, you got to step up to the plate, right? I have to show up, Yes. And I always ended up, I don't even care if it was a job, I always ended up being the one to speak in front of people or to teach a class or to teach training or something. So God, all, it, in those processes that we go through in life, on those jobs, all those things, God is training you for your purpose. We think it's, oh, I don't want to do this. It's part of your training. It is part of training. So, and God tests us, just like when you go start a job, they put you through that process. God does too. We representing kingdom, so God tests you too. So I was able to, go through those things, and certain things that pushed me, and to go ahead and start just sharing the word of God in a practical way. It can, help you on a day-to-day basis and to be a better person. Because a lot of people say, how come you didn't do this? How come you didn't curse her out? Or curse? Listen, it's the Holy Spirit in me. Trust me, I wanted to. But God will keep you in those areas, if you allow the spirit,
Yes.
to grow in the spirit. So, but okay, all right.
Indeed.
But that is how I
You
was.
said a couple.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. You said a couple of things. One, you talked about sowing seeds, right? In terms of how things that happen when we are younger, we're sowing, our parents and the people or the adults around us are sowing seeds into us. And I just saw an interview with Tabitha Brown and her husband about cussing, of all things, because when we get riled up, if you've learned certain words, they may come off your lips because you haven't gotten to a point where you can articulate yourself with
Yes.
different words and express your feelings. And uh, Tabitha was saying when she was younger with her oldest daughter, she wasn't at the spiritual level of maturity that she was with her youngest son. And
Yeah.
so her youngest son never heard her as a parent use profanity, but her her oldest daughter did, right? And she also told the story that her grandmother used to, swear all the time. But even though her grandmother swore, she knew as a young person that she shouldn't swear. And the issue that came up was about young people who use profanity around adults. Like, you're not there, like you might hear it on the train or at a game, and they happen to be having a party at their house for their son, and one of the young men who was there had these things come off his lips, and Tab's husband stopped everything and said, "Stop the music, stop everything. We're going to address this, right?"
Yes.
And she also said that being out, she addresses things. But it's really that thing of, and we were talking about this in some of the other interviews, everything that we do impacts other people. It impacts us, and it impacts the people around us. And sometimes, we don't deal with it until we get older because we really don't understand the impact of the people around us. So who you keep in your circle, all of those things are important. How your parents and the people your parents are around interact with you, all of those
Yes.
things are important. That's all sowing seed. And, as a young person, all the seeds coming in, and as an adult, you have to like figure out what's weeds and what's good for growth. So that was one thing that you said. The other thing you said was about having a relationship, like through your journey from then to now, developing a relationship with God versus, the religion of going to church, and how important it is to understand, the value of the relationship with God. And then the third thing you said was about from being behind or being a person who likes to be behind the scenes to being in front. And that's who I am as well. I'm a person, I really don't like to be out front, but all my life I've been in leadership positions. I've been out front,
Yeah.
God has put me in that role, but I'm really quite content just to like make things happen behind the scenes
Yes.
and
I
not worry
understand
about
that.
that. Yeah, it's a real thing, being an introvert, but expressing yourself outwardly. And
Yes.
when I was reading your bio, you've done a lot of things professionally that is pretty, pretty amazing. Like, from one being a pastor's wife, because that's a great call and demand on your life. And you said, that grew you spiritually. And then you did some things with your husband and his business. So you learned the behind the scenes of how to run a business. And then you started some businesses of your own, right?
Yes, 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 yes. So you know, if we allow I know a lot of people say focus on one thing, but sometimes God gives us more than one thing, And I do understand
Yes.
about the focus on one thing, because if you have all these different seeds, and I think it was Tyler Perry that said you're watering too many, or a lot of different things. But for what I have, they all go coincide together. So some of those things are different, or you might not utilize this at one time, but it'll come, back up again. And I learned a lot in the swimming pool renovation with my ex-husband. And I learned so much in that, because he taught. I never seen him. I seen him one time work a job, and that's but mainly he was always entrepreneurial. He because he was really he and I were totally opposite. So he was bold and direct, and I was quiet and shy. So he did most of the talking, and he did a lot. But a lot of that favor, and which is another book that I'm writing, because he wrote a book called God's Way of Discovering Your Mate. And I'm revising that book, because a lot of that I learned as well. Because a lot of things our way, we say, oh, well, God said this, but this really are what we want and the way we want it. But that favor that comes from having, us being married, when we worked on jobs together, when we went to, because we would sign up and we would do the estimates and the contracts for the swimming pool renovation. And I mean, just us going in, and this was before the internet, because we had to do our own door-to-door marketing, and putting out
Marketing.
flyers, putting out
Trying to.
flyers, and
Mhm.
those things. But when
Yeah.
we walked on a job and had a PowerPoint presentation, because God just favored me back then. I was very young doing those things back then, and most of the guys wasn't. They were writing on, just sheets of paper how much the cost was, and little estimate forms. But he went on a job with a PowerPoint presentation. We went together. Most of those clients would say, look, where's the check? Just by us walking up together, they didn't even want to look, how much is it? Where's the check? What's the cost? And that was favor.
Yeah.
It was just that favor that God had on our lives. We had a lot of favor, but then there was a lot of doors open as well, that caused, a lot of self-sabotage that caused our marriage to, you know, go the wrong way, but like I said, I chose to be better, not bitter. Because even in the relationship with ministry and people in ministry, and being a pastor's wife is kind of abusive too sometimes. I got a book on that too. But looking at it through God's eye, because the church is God's bride, so he loves them, so we have
Yes.
to love them, so we have to love them, and he says, through love and kindness have I drawn thee. So sometimes we have to be the bigger person and love, instead
Yes.
of, responding out of flesh. But that when
Yeah.
I was younger, it caused me to draw back and be more shyer because of the way I was treated. So once I
Mhm.
did get out of that relationship and wanted my life to change, and like, I couldn't be shy anymore, because I wanted to do business. So doing business, I did network marketing as well. And I always worked with the leaders, and that caused me to be out front too. And so I remember introduced a leader in the meeting one time. He's like, wow, I didn't even know she could speak. But I had that ability and the courage. I just kept myself from it, and I was robbed from so much because I didn't want to be out front. And I've used that word shy when it was fear. We cover it up sometimes. Even I put it in my book about being an introvert and an extrovert. Because if you want to do
Mhm.
business, if you want, especially in network marketing, or being an author, As realty, any one of them, you have to kind of step out of that, and be an extrovert and network and connect with people and step out. Like now it's like, okay, now sometimes they have to say, okay, Melonie, because I just because I've overcame that, and that's how I can tell I have, because sometimes I'll be like, okay, I have to even turn myself. All right, let me slow down.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Oh
No, you
no,
go
I
ahead.
was saying that was a segue to the title of your book. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. Like, is that why? Like, how did you come up with that title for the book?
Yes, and then the subtitle is "Use Your Faith to Build Your Confidence," because that is what I had to use in order to build my confidence and step out, knowing that it wasn't in my strength. That if I went on and did it, I have all the backing of the power that is in me, to do, what I'm called to do, and literally, I was really afraid to even share my story, to share my testimony, because it was painful. But then now I know that the pain that I went through is a story that can help free someone else, that can help someone else overcome. The Bible says we are overcomers by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony. So we need those testimonies. Those testimonies they help other people overcome. I mean, I was hit by a Mack truck, and I'm still here. I was shot at. Yes. I was shot at, like looking down at a barrel, looking directly at the barrel of the gun, and the bullet went straight down in my leg. And my mom, not in my leg, but right next to my leg in the car. He shot my friend's boyfriend was after her, and I was in the way. She got on the floor, and the bullet was coming. It was for her, but I'm looking at and he shot into my car, in my mom's car. Actually, I was like maybe 18 at the time, 17 or 18. And I was driving her car and just hanging out with my friend, and her boyfriend was after us. And I just never told that story. And my mom was like, that's a testimony. You need to share your testimony. And I see that now, but I didn't then, and literally I have pictures that the bullet went straight down to the seat, straight down in the seat. And even when I was hit by a Mack truck, the ambulance, the gentleman, he said, I don't know who you are, but you are a blessed woman. And then, some of those things that happen, I know that God was keeping me here for a purpose, for a reason. It wasn't just to go work a job and just, man, it's for our purpose is not for us. And I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna turn it back over to you. And what caused me to step out, a young lady sent me a link to get on this conference call one day, because I was going through and dealing with some things. And I got on the call, and I heard the gentleman say, and I'll never forget, he said this. He said, the apple on the tree is not for the tree, but for those that come along and pick from the tree, and they receive the nourishment. They receive the benefits from that fruit. So our fruit, our seeds, the fruit that comes is not for us. It's for other people to share. Our testimony is for other people. So we go through that process, and it's painful. But listen, in the end, the outcome, when we hold fast, the profession of our faith without wavering, he is faithful. He is faithful. And we just have to share, like, look, he promised. I tell my daughters when we go through sometimes that God promised. It's a lesson in this. Like, there's something we need to learn. It's a lesson in this. And I'm just, I'm here to share that you can overcome, and everything that you want is on the other side of fear. We either operate out of fear or faith. So use your confidence, use your faith. And faith is hearing the word, hearing what, when you hear those testimonies, when you hear, oh, you can get through this. I went through this. Like, when these young kids can hear, we went through these things as young parents growing up, because I didn't know what I was doing when I was 21, running a business and then having children and going through all of that stuff. I didn't know, but God kept me. God kept us. So I'm excited. As you can see, when I get in this element, I get excited. But I went through some things and been in process of writing my book, because a long time ago, I was supposed to start writing and sharing my story, but I didn't. I it was fear. I held back. So I
Mhm.
remember praying one time and just praying. And I ended up reading Moses, the story of Moses. And that was so shocked to me. And you may have heard this before, but he told Moses had told the children of Israel, he was saying, the enemy you see, you won't see again. He was just, talking to them. And it said, God told Moses, he said, stop crying out to me and use what's in your hand. And that stuck with
Mhm.
me,
Yes.
saying that God has placed something in our hand. God has placed something in our life for us to move forward with. And we cry out to God for money, and God has given us ideas. He's given us testimonies and books for us to share. And we crying out to God, I need this paid, I need that paid. But he's already paid this, and he's look, use what's in your hand and move forward. And God told Moses that. He said, stop crying out to me. I'm like, wait a minute, God.
Yes.
And I put that in the book because we have gifts and talents. And I talk to young, even sometimes my daughters deal with it too. I'm like, just sing and just write your books and draw. I have an amazing daughter that's an artist, but you can see that fear sometimes, and we just have to encourage them. Look, you you do what you can do in the natural, and then God will do in the supernatural. And that's faith.
Yeah.
That's trusting that,
That's
look,
true.
write my book, I'm gonna step out, and then everything else will fall in line. We just have to, it's not going to be something that we can tangibly do ourselves, because then we wouldn't need God. So
Right. That's true.
when we write our book and we do those things, even you and I are part of the six-figure Arthur Academy, and some of the things that
Yes.
Melonie says to do, and she's like, okay, just do it. And we think about it instead of doing it. If we have the faith and go ahead and do it, those six figures will come, because those are just strategic guidelines that she's given us to that path, right? So um, this,
Right.
yeah. So
So what would you say? Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just saying it's already in our hands. God has really blessed us. We just have to move forward in that faith and confidence that we already have the power.
That is so true. That's so true. You said a couple of things. I was going to ask you what were like some of the takeaways, but really it's just about the test. The test that people are going to go through tests, and to know
Mm-hmm.
that that test, like that fruit is for somebody else. The testimony is for somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
and once you pass the test, you give other people permission to say, "Hey, I could pass the test too,"
Mm-hmm.
or
Yes.
I can overcome whatever the situation is as well, and to have the faith to keep pushing forward. Um, you also talked about what's in your hand, like um, God has really given us everything that we need. We just need to look inside of ourselves and bear the fruit that He's given us, because we all have gifts. We all have
Yes.
our gifts, and some people
Mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, I can only cook." Right? Well, that's a gift, because there are people who can't cook. Right? That's why they have restaurants. you know, um,
Yeah.
but they're things that we have. We're very um, symbiotic. Nature and the world is very symbiotic. And I think a lot of times we see ourselves in these silos, and,
Mm-hmm.
like it's just us. But I think once you get out of the silo, you see how what you do helps someone else, what helps someone else, or what someone else is doing, how it helps you, in the relationship of how we're all intertwined in
Yes.
life, and it's a very, give and receive type of situation. So I really like the title, Everything You Want is on the Other Side of Fear, and just, having the faith and the confidence to step out on the gifts that God has given you to do the things that you're meant to do in the world. So if you look at yourself, like from the author perspective, you were saying your daughter is an artist, and you guys did a book together where she did the artwork and you wrote the book, and you've written several other books. What's the most challenging thing as an author about getting the book done? Like, what advice would you give to the authors out there who are listening who say, you know what, I have a story, I have a testimony, or there's something that's just been in my mind. It might be totally made up. It could be, not based on fact, but based on, something that's just imaginary.
Mhm.
But what advice would you give people to move forward with their quest to be authors, or even to address something that has been nagging them about
Mhm.
writing, and they're afraid.
Yes, I would tell them to, depending on what they believe, their belief system. Everybody have different, their different beliefs. For mine is faith, to build yourself up in faith, and when you have that faith and confidence, or move, when you're confident in something, you can, you're able to perform better. And like I said, even on jobs, they test you what for 30, 90 days or whatever. They don't even sometimes put you out there until you go through those tests. God does the same thing. So even if it is a book, it's a story, and you've it's an idea. Like, ideas can come when you spend those time with God. When you spend, if you talk to people, and even some people, that it's not even just having a form of, and definitely not religion. We don't I'm not religious. I just tell people I love God religiously. I just, because of the having the relationship. And those, we are creative. If we're born in his image and in his likeness, we are naturally creative. And just to act, to if you get, just start taking those steps to doing it. But knowing that God did not give us the spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. That's what I held on to. And
Yeah.
knowing that, okay, if I'm thinking about it, it's holding me back. It's something to kind of block me, from stop me. Because remember, what you have is to free someone else. Even you do with realty and the finances. That's something we need. That's something I need. Because I wasn't taught that. You know, and a lot that we need in our communities. We
Uh,
Go ahead.
so you're frozen on my side.
Oh, is that better?
Oh, you're good. It froze
Okay.
just Yeah, it froze for a minute, but I can hear you now. Okay.
Okay. So, like, in our community, there's a lot of different things. Even a book to help someone um steps to start in a realty company. It's a help, it's something that can help someone else. And just moving in that process of doing so and taking the action. I think our thing is taking action and the distractions. I think those are the two main things, that we
Right.
should focus on instead of the fears, because the fear
So,
is gonna, go ahead, I'm sorry.
oh, you were saying the fear is going to do what?
Arrest you. It'll arrest you and God, because he can't move in fear. He doesn't move in fear. He moves in faith. So
Right.
even when we can't see it, even when we can't, you know, and that's
Right.
when that's how it's like, okay, this is impossible, but it's not impossible with
Right.
God.
Right.
So moving in that impossibility, and just
Right.
trusting, okay, it's gonna come. Being consistent,
Mhm.
and just
So, so you're like self-published. So what tips would you give to someone who wants to self-publish their book?
Okay, I'm self-published on Amazon and also Lulu.com. This is a check I put up here. It's a little small check, but it's growing. It's motivation. But yeah, so if they don't have the knowledge of it, they can reach out to a coach, or reach out to myself, or to yourself. I don't know if you're self-published as well, to go through those steps. Like, people have reached out to me. I'm ready to do my book, because I encourage people to share your story. People say, I don't have a story. I'm like, yes, you do. If you've been here 5 years you could tell a story. I was talking to my nephew the other day. I said, what would you write a story about? Like, let's do a book. And he was like, my grandmas. He has 2 grandmas. And so I was like, okay, yeah, you can. So you can write about their personality, how you feel about them and what they make you, so there's always something, that you can write about and share. So just taking that, what has been planted on the inside of you, whether it's a recipe, whether it's something that you went through, it doesn't have to be pain all the time, but most people go through a lot of pain and they want to know how to get out of it. And that's just one of the main things. But I just have to say, everything you
What
want
was
is
the
on the
biggest?
other side. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what was the biggest challenge for you to get published? Like, what was the biggest challenge? What was the biggest hurdle that you had to overcome?
um There was for me, it was just distractions and completing the book, because it was really simple for me to go on and do it, because that's, the stuff that I do. And I've learned to put books together. When my ex-husband and I did books, he probably did like 12 syllabus back then. And whether it was on marriage or faith or just teaching people how to minister, being a servant. He did all different types of syllabus, and then we would have seminars. So I put books together. I knew how to put them together and then upload them to either Amazon or Lulu. So it was no problem for me to, and then I would just have someone else do my cover most of the time. But just, so there's different steps to the process. If you go to my website, you can, there's courses that I have that, that can assist in that as well. But the one thing that just stopped me was either procrastination or distractions, because I have a good heart and I will start doing and helping other people. And lo and behold, I'm like, okay, Melonie, get over here, because because a lot of things we can be doing a good thing, but it's the wrong, it's like, no, wait a minute, get back over here. Yeah. So
It's not the right thing for you.
yeah. Yeah.
Don't I know that one? Yes, I know that
Especially
one
for our
very, very
children too.
well.
We can
Yeah.
get a lot of, yeah.
Yeah. So do me a favor, hold your book to the side that's nearest your calendar so we can see it, and hold it still so
Okay.
people can see the title. There we go. Yeah, don't
Okay.
cover
Yeah.
your face though, but to the side. Turn it a little bit. There we go. Awesome. So I want you all to go out and get Miss Melonie's books. Everything You Want is on the other side of fear. And tell people how they can get the book and how they can contact you.
Okay. You can contact me at the website there under my name, meloniejones.podia, I think podia.com. It's listed there. And then also on Amazon, I have several books and journals on Amazon. You could just put in my name, Melonie Jones, and you'll see the list of the books there. I co-authored a book with my daughter, Monet Jones. She's my book illustrator. Also, we do book illustrations as well. Let me show you this one. She just turned 19 this year, but she did this one, I think 2 years ago. And maybe, no, it was last year. I don't know if you can see it. So this young lady, she asked her to
Yeah.
to do her book illustrations for a children's book. And Monet put her story together. And this lady, she is, and I encouraged her to do her book. She is, I think, in her 70s. Yeah, early 70s. And she was like, I had this story ever since I was a little girl, and she would tell me about it. And I said, well, let's get it done, So she's so excited. That's why it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you are, in life. And this lady, Marilyn Perlman, she's a Jewish lady that I met at the Buckhead Club here in Georgia. And she wanted a book. She was looking for a book illustration because she wanted to do her story. So we illustrated her book. I also self-published her book, put it on Amazon as well. So we do that also. But everything is listed there on meloniejones.podia.com.
Awesome. And the information on how to contact you is is there as well
It's
for
all
people
there.
who want to
Yes.
reach out
Email.
to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely.
So you do publishing. You do you do editing as well?
No, I don't do the editing. I tell them to go to what's the name of the, I can't think of it right now, but they're, I tell them to go to Fiverr to get, because I did that as Fiverr. I got someone to do
Okay.
my editing because I wanted to. Yeah, no, I don't do the editing. I
Cool.
tell them to get their own editor, and then even the cover pages. Some of the covers I do, but then some I sub out to on Fiverr. And it's not, it's very, it's not. A lot of times you think it's all these big things, and I love drop shipping because you don't have to purchase a whole bunch of books at one time, or someone can go to the site and they print the book and ship it out to them directly. So that's the amazing thing about it. You don't have to have tons and tons of money to start. Just get started.
Man,
Yes.
amen. This has been really, really great. We have about 3 more minutes. So what are the last three things that you want to share, either about the book or about yourself as an author, or about upcoming projects that you have coming up soon that you want to share with people?
Okay. I have, first of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to come on and share. I have a book that I am releasing soon. It's called God's Way of Discovering Your Mate. I was sharing it earlier because I see so much around about, all the different things about dating, and everybody wants to be perfect before they get with someone. But look, you may not necessarily be at that perfect, because that's why God created a helpmate, because he needed a helper. So I want to, and my ex-husband, he actually wrote this book right before he met me, and then we finished it and completed it together. I typed it up and everything, and we printed it up, and we did seminars. So I wanted to bring some of those points back that he taught in things that brought us together, and how we work together, when you can work with somebody, and the meaning of a helpmate. And one of the things Dr. Miles Monroe
Mhm.
says, abuse is inevitable if you don't know the purpose of the thing. If you don't know the purpose of marriage, there was a purpose and a reason that God made marriage. There's a purpose and a reason God made you. So learning the purpose of it would, maybe give I just want to help our youth, and I have three daughters. I didn't share earlier. I have three amazing, talented daughters. Their father was talented. My whole family is just talented, and just letting them know, like, you're here for a purpose. You're here on purpose, for a purpose. God doesn't make mistakes. He knew what he was doing, and he placed it on the inside of you. And a lot of times society has us looking for it. Like, who you want to be like? Mike? You want to be like Oprah? You want to be like yourself, because there's something genuine and authentic on the inside of you that God, put on the inside of you. And so that's one of the things I'm working on. And I'm also having an event coming up here. I'm excited about it, in Atlanta. And it is for our youth, our young girls, where we want to crown. I want to give them a crown. I didn't have to get my crown. Crown them and show them who they really are. I am an administrator at the Apex Museum here in Atlanta, Georgia. And it's a historical museum. And we teach people when they come in, and I'm going to close at this: whatever you do, never let them begin our history with slavery. Our history is not slavery. Our history, we were kings, queens, and creative
Mhm.
and innovative, and all those
Mhm.
things. And that was the reason why they captured us and put us into, because of the giftings that we were gifted with. See, they know who we are, but it's our job to, teach our youth to know who they are as
Right.
well, because we are not what, what's in the history books. That was just a piece of our history, just a point in our history. And just showing them in this event how great they are, and that they can look inside. God put everything on the inside of you, everything you need, to succeed is on the inside of you. He planted it right on the inside of you. And that's how you get it discovered, by looking on the end, looking within. All right, turn me off.
Indeed.
Thank you so much,
And
Clara.
no, this is I appreciate you being here because it's a really, it's a consistent message, but there are so many people who don't realize the gift that they are. That the gift that they are, and that everything about them has a purpose. That we
Yes.
each and every person has a purpose on this planet. And sometimes we just have to, like you said, step on the other side of fear, of what we're afraid of, or what,
Yes.
we
Yes.
don't believe about ourselves, to experience all that God has for us, and the gifts. And in using our gifts, He's going to prosper us as well. So I just appreciate you. I thank you for coming, for sharing your book, for sharing your wonderful daughter and her talent as well. Um, it's pretty amazing because you make it sound really simple, but a lot of people have not published books or haven't self-published. So the fact that you have that experience, that, you know, you're able to do that with ease, is an encouragement to other people out there who are listening, who said, hey, I want to write a book, but I'm really just not sure about where to get started. They can reach out to Miss Melonie and, talk with her about what's necessary to take the next steps, to go to the next step in writing your book. And if you know someone else who's struggling, with their self-esteem, or if they're struggling with their confidence, or they're struggling with fear, definitely pick up her book. Everything You Want is on the Other Side of Fear. Get it for yourself, get it as a gift for someone else. So I just want to thank everyone. I talk a lot about what is um, the Lyonsview lifestyle, because this segment is really about having a lifestyle where you actualize your dreams into reality. It is the possibility of what is available when your life is in order, when your finances are in order, when your health is in order, and when your spiritual mindset is in order. And books are an opportunity for you to expand your intellectual wealth. It's a way for you to expand how you look at the world and the things that you see. The Bible is a very, very, very amazing book. It stumps a lot of people, so there's a lot of different versions to break it down and have you understand it. And then every author that we've had so far has given a perspective of how they've used the Bible in their lives to move forward, to be more prosperous in their life, to be better people in their life. So I just want to encourage you. I want you to step out of your comfort zone. My name again is Clara, Lyons-DeVaughn. Financial Fridays, we stream live every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we invite you to come back. You can see it on Facebook and or YouTube. But if you're catching us live, thank you for tuning in today. If you're on the replay, put a note down in the chat thanking Melonie for her testimony, for sharing this book, and for honoring the call that God has put on her life. But until then, you keep living your best life. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, Melonie.
Thank you too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.